What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Rantin Review Pro Wrestling. Yep, we are going to talk about WrestleMania 41, nights 1 and 2. Overall thoughts on nights 1 and night 2. Both of them are a mixed bag. Night 2 started off a lot better. Night 1 ended much better. And that's probably a good synopsis of what happened. But let's look at some of the big highlights, the lowlights, and the WTF moments from the event. Starting with night 1, which started with main event Jey Uso, not in the main event, facing the World Heavyweight Champion GUNTHER, not in the main event. But in the opening match, which is not unheard of, I mean, this is what it is, and as I've mentioned before, and GUNTHER has mentioned in a recent interview, he doesn't really care about that kind of stuff. So I've seen fans upset about it. It's not anything to be upset about. If he doesn't care, Jey doesn't care, we shouldn't care. So this was a good match. It was a decent match. It wasn't anything crazy. Jey didn't botch anything. And depending on your feelings about Jey Uso, I know a lot of WWE fans have issues with him. I don't really mind the whole thing, the yeet and all that other stuff. It's exciting, it's fun, it's what WWE is really about. The match was cool. Jey wins the championship, celebrates with his brother Jimmy, and that's basically what we expected. We got everything out of it, including GUNTHER tapping out almost immediately to his own finisher. World Tag Team Championship was on the line as the New Day took on the War Raiders, who I forgot were even in WWE, and I certainly did not realize they were actually tag team champions, but that doesn't matter because this match was not much of anything, and the New Day win the tag titles, which is good for them because both Kingston and Woods, as commentary will point out, have an abysmal record at WrestleMania, so at least they got the win. Jade Cargill took on Naomi in a match which highlighted Jade's strengths and really covered up her weaknesses that she's had since I've been watching her when she was back in AEW. Naomi, this feud has been interesting. Like, the setup for the feud, and this is going to be a thing for a lot of the night. The setup at Elimination Chamber was cool. This match was okay. Jade does win. She looks dominant, and that's pretty much it. Now we get to something that was actually pretty good. The United States Championship, LA Knight, defending against Jacob Fatu. Solo Sikoa came out with Jacob, but didn't escort him to the ring. This was a fun match. This is a match I would recommend you watching. Jacob and LA Knight, definitely. The two guys, by the way, who were mainstays in legitimately the indies. Obviously, LA Knight coming from NWA again, but they've become big WWE stars, as we kind of all knew they would and could be. The match was cool. LA Knight had an awesome reversal from Jacob Fatu coming off the top rope, but Jacob Fatu did hit 2 moonsaults, or I think splashes or whatever, to win the United States Championship. The guy is definitely a future star. He's probably going to be the face of the company. I think he'll probably be main eventing a WrestleMania himself within the next 5 years. Oh boy, here's something. Now, while this match had a lot of stunning moves to it, including El Grande Americano hitting a 5-something splash off the top rope, which was absolutely insane and looked terrible to take if you were his opponent. There's a lot loaded into this match. El Grande Americano took on Rey Fenix after he was supposed to be taking on Rey Mysterio Jr., but Rey Mysterio was injured. So, as I'm always happy for guys getting their first WrestleMania gig, including and especially the two brothers from south of the border, Rey Fenix's WrestleMania debut is probably not the way I think a lot of us would have wanted to see. He does lose to El Grande Americano, but this match I feel was it's a promotional setup for the AAA merger. Or I've talked about that in a different video. I'm not going to get into that again. I can see Chad Gable being AAA Grand Champion by the end of the year. Oh my God. Okay, no, never mind. Anyway, so moving on from that, the WWE Women's Championship was on the line. This is a match I definitely was looking forward to. Tiffany Stratton defending against Charlotte Flair after their crazy shoot work promo from a couple weeks on SmackDown. It grabbed my attention, grabbed a lot of people's attention. This match was equal parts messy and equal parts cool as hell to watch. I can't really recommend it though, because even though they did some really great work in here, Charlotte kind of no-sold her leg for a while until Tiffany just said, "You're not no-selling your leg," and really went after it. It looked, some of those spots look great. There were some botches in the match. Botchamania is probably you're definitely gonna see some of these in Botchamania. There's one part where I forgot who tried to flip who into the corner, but one of the ladies tried to flip one of the other ladies into the corner for a spot, and the camera shot it that they were like a mile away from the turnbuckle, but still sold it anyway. Regardless of that, Tiffany Stratton, missing a few pieces of her teeth by the end of this, defeated Charlotte Flair to retain the championship. And then we get to the main event. CM Punk finally getting his main event. And as I said before, whatever you may think about Phil Brooks, whatever you may think about how he's crapped on the entire industry in one way, shape, or form from all sides at one point or another, I am happy always to see somebody have a dream that they thought they weren't going to get come true. CM Punk, they even played his old CM Punk music. CM Punk gets his WrestleMania main event, Living Color, sings him to the ring. He's there with the wise man, Paul Heyman. And I see some people say he was the original Heyman guy, although I think Brock was with Heyman before CM Punk was even in WWE. But CM Punk, one of the original Paul Heyman men in WWE, taking on Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. A lot of drama. This is, again, the melodrama era. We are well into it. We got the history with Seth and Roman from The Shield. We got the history of Roman and Punk from their social media spats, but also, the needle mover thing from years ago. But also, the fact that Paul Heyman looked like he was about to lose his lunch every time they started fighting each other. And of course, Punk and Rollins have had this blood feud going on ever since Punk returned to WWE. A lot of finisher spamming at the end of this match, which got a bit excessive and felt like a retread. This will come back in later in WrestleMania weekend as well. But that's, again, this is WWE. It's not about the in-ring. It's about the moments, especially at WrestleMania. The big moment was Paul Heyman at one point in time grabs a chair, slides it into the ring. Is he going to slide it to Roman? Is he going to slide it to CM Punk? He slides it to CM Punk. Roman looks like somebody kicked his dog. He was going to cry. Heyman gets in the ring, stands beside Punk, and right before Punk can swing the chair, he low blows CM Punk. It was a setup all along. Just not the one we're thinking right now, because he then gives the chair to his tribal chief, and Roman is happy. He's like, yeah, you got me there. You almost got me there. He gets up, and then Paul Heyman is like, "Look, my tribal chief, look." There's Seth Rollins climbing up on the ropes in the exact position you've been waiting for years, over a decade. The same way you got hit in the back with the chair when the Shield dissolved, with that guy that we're not supposed to mention, but have mentioned now twice, Mox. There it is, my tribal chief. You've been waiting for this. Roman's got this chair. He's ready to rail Seth Rollins. Moves Heyman behind him. The audience immediately saw what was going to happen. Heyman gets down as well as he can, as athletically ungifted as Paul Heyman is, and hits one of those good old Ric Flair nut shots. Not just hitting it, just letting the hand there, twisting it around and pulling it back through. That's a Flair spot if there ever was one. The nuts took a lot this weekend. And Seth Rollins, the architect, has now teamed with the wise man, and he defeated Roman Reigns for the third time. Seth Rollins has screwed over Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. And now he and the wise man, the architect and the wise man, that is a great combination. What are those two going to cook up in WWE? That was cool. It kept the night from being a flop. But again, night one, about middle of the road. I do recommend the World Championship match between Jey Uso and Gunther. I do recommend Jacob Fatu and LA Knight. And I do recommend this main event. On to night two. Starts off with another triple threat match for a championship this time, as opposed to the first night where the main event triple threat match was clearly for Paul Heyman This one is for the Women's World Championship as Io Sky, the third wheel, defended the championship against both Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. And bro guy, I did check out some of his review. He pointed out that this match featured Io Sky and they had the least interesting person in the match win the match, and he thought there was something wrong with that. So you get a kind of an insight right now into his co-host even said, yeah, but the fans like her, even though he's agreeing with bro. That's the point, though. The fans really like her. Fans really like Io Sky. Now, I'm not going to read too much into this, but I do know that Io Sky is Asian. Bro man has a very bad history with Asian wrestlers. I do distinctly remember him calling Katsuyori Shibata Ciabatta bread. We all know how he booked Kazuchika Okada, one of the greatest wrestlers of this generation, when he was in TNA as a borderline racist gimmick when he was in TNA. So his dislike of Io Sky winning this match might have some reasons to it. And on top of that, to just get away from that part, but the actual wrestling part, the actual storyline part, Io Sky's whole role in this was that she was the third wheel, and that Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair, much bigger stars, treated the champion as if she didn't matter. The ending of this match is really cool. Io Sky was going up on the top rope. Rhea Ripley catches her, gives her an Alabama slam, which looked nasty as hell, on the ring post. Bianca Belair grabs Rhea, goes for her finisher, but Io comes off the top rope, hits her finisher, and retains the championship. Both women champions retaining on WrestleMania weekend, by the way. I think this was the best thing to happen. Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley do not need the women's championship. Io Sky probably more needs this win. You need to build up these other people. Like I said, Belair, who was getting booed in this, and people are still scratching their heads why the crowd was booing her, and Rhea Ripley, they're two of the biggest women wrestlers in the world. Io Sky's still getting up there. Io Sky's a very entertaining wrestler, despite what some people may say, bro. But she's not at that level with them. And in order to get them there, she has to start winning some of these matches if they feel something for Io that she's got potential. So I had no problem with it. Recommend this match. One of the best matches on the entire weekend. Drew McIntyre took on Damian Priest in a Sin City street fight. Drew and Damian, although not, this is not one of those. If you're used to watching certain other wrestling companies and their hardcore matches, this is not like that. This is not bloody and gory and brutal. This is just rough and tough. Both of these guys beat the crap out of each other, beat the crap out of their bodies. The typical stuff, though. You got tables, you got chairs, you got the steel stairs. Drew did take a razor's edge through the table for a near fall, and apparently punctured something in his back because he was bleeding from the back. It looks like he may have also hurt his ribs or his lungs or something. Damian Priest at the end of the match was talking to the referee and saying he couldn't breathe. So yeah, these guys put in the work and it showed in this match. I do recommend you checking this one out. It's a pretty damn good street fight match. Drew McIntyre finally does not beat himself and actually wins this match and doesn't look like an idiot. So congratulations to Drew. Damian Priest, however, kind of seems to be I can say this. It seems like he's being phased out a little bit from the main event scene. And without the Judgment Day, I'm not sure what direction they're going to take him in, but they'll figure it out on their own. Intercontinental Championship match. The feel-good moment of the weekend, if you can believe this. Braun Breaker, the champion, defending against Finn Balor, Penta, who's now just Penta, and Dominic Mysterio, Dirty Dom. This match sponsored by Dude Wipes. But this match was fun as hell. Braun Breaker is awesome. Carlito comes down at one point. He's trying to help Dom and Finn. Of course, they're all Judgment Day guys. Carlito once again gets obliterated by Braun Breaker, which is one of the funniest spots that WWE's been doing. Getting speared from Braun Breaker, who left from the English announce table over to the Spanish announce table just to destroy the Bad Apple. Dominic and Finn, who've had some conflicts in Judgment Day over recent weeks, that came out as they did have their conflict. Finn kind of caught himself from being hit with the 619 early. The crowd started booing him and cheering Dom. Now, Dom, when he came out to the ring, got heavily booed. This puts him in with rare wrestlers at WrestleMania like Bret Hart and like Stone Cold Steve Austin, where they change from heel to face or face to heel during the course of their WrestleMania match. Pretty rare era to be in there for Dirty Dom. And Penta, his first WrestleMania, very happy for him, came out to the ring, did his business, looked awesome, thought this match was great, this was fun, I enjoy it, I recommend it. The finish was funny too, because of all people, Dirty Dominic Mysterio wins. He does and pins Braun Breaker to become the new Intercontinental Champion, to a surprising chorus of cheers from the crowd. So much so that after they played the replay, and I suspect that somebody probably told him to do this, he ran back to the ring, ran past Finn, got back in the ring and raised the title for even more cheers from the crowd. The feel-good moment of the weekend. Who would have thought that that would wind up being Dominic Mysterio winning the IC title from one of the most over guys in the company, Braun Breaker. Breaker, of course, is not losing anything from this. He's going to move on to stuff. Hopefully, he's going for that U.S. Championship, because they've been teasing Braun Breaker and Jacob Fatu for a while. I want to see that match. You want to see that match. Hopefully, it's coming sooner than later, but time will tell. This is the point. Now, this is where I'm probably going to deviate from half of the people that watch the show, but this following segment was when the night, which has started off, the first 4 matches, great. Felt like WrestleMania. Could enjoy it. This was a hit and a miss at the same time. Randy Orton, who was supposed to be facing Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens, unfortunately injured. We do wish him a speedy recovery. But Randy Orton had a mystery opponent. Mystery opponent turns out to be TNA World Champion, because somebody must have said his name, Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry comes out there. Second time he's made a surprise appearance in WWE this year, having been at the Royal Rumble. He puts up a decent 1 minute against Randy Orton, who looks perplexed by the phenom that is Joe Hendry. But as Joe Hendry does his gimmick, which I'm going to point this out again, it is amazing that nearly 65,000 people know his entire gimmick. Yet TNA cannot get anywhere close. They can't get 1/10 of these people to go to a TNA show, but they all know his gimmick. Wrestling is a dysfunctional community, but in the middle of his little gimmick, Randy Orton, out of nowhere, which was awesome, this looked awesome, hits the RKO, perfectly done. That's where WWE always excels with these things. Gets the pinfall and beats the TNA World Champion in 3.5 minutes. Ooh, as if that wasn't bad enough, he then lifts Joe Hendry up. He's like, hey, you all right. Then hits another RKO on him, and then does Hendry's own gimmick in front of the crowd, and pats him on the chest and goes, good job there, champ. Now, for Joe Hendry, because I've seen people say that this was a burial of Joe Hendry. This is not a burial of Joe Hendry. This is awesome for Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry is going to go on to be a big star at WWE. He's defending the TNA Championship at a pay-per-view coming up soon against, I believe it's against Frankie Kazarian and Ethan Page. Expect him to drop the title and then head over to WWE full-time. This is great for Joe Hendry. For the TNA Championship and TNA as a brand, this is horrible. I'm an older wrestling fan. I've been watching this shit since almost damn near 40 years now. I have seen champions from other companies wrestle other champions, Harley Race and Bob Backlund, the IWGP champion Tatsumi Fujinami versus Ric Flair, etc., etc., etc. I cannot recall one single time I've ever seen a world champion with a championship with the lineage that the TNA championship has. Even a guy on Wrestle Talk was trying to hold back his bitterness and anger over this with a grimacing smile saying, don't be a TNA fan, don't go to TNA. I have to, and this is what I said, there are a lot of TNA fans out there. This made the company, this is the death of the company as far as in the eyes of being anything considered to be taken seriously as a wrestling company. It was killed by an RKO. How can you take TNA and its world championship seriously when it wasn't even for the championship? He gets jobbed out in 3.5 minutes. I know, again, great for Joe Hendry, but for the TNA championship, it's a joke. But you can think of that as you will. Let your voice be heard in the comment box below. The hits kept on coming for TNA as one of their original and the most synonymous wrestlers, AJ Styles, took on Logan Paul in a match where at the very beginning, the commentary team tells the audience that most of you who don't like Logan Paul are jealous of him because you're mediocre. This company can get away with this. This is amazing. You can insult your audience and the WWE sweaties just nod and go, yes, we're mediocre. They're not talking about me. Yes, they're talking about you. And so is Paul Heyman. Again, a topic for another video, but it was a cool match. Nothing really to write home about here. I mean, Logan Paul had his drone. That was interesting. But the main thing, again, came from the end of the match drama. Logan Paul had his little buddy or whatever doing something outside the ring. Karrion Kross comes down, offers brass knuckles to AJ in a spot that we would see repeated just an hour later. AJ, being the babyface, takes the brass knucks, throws him away. He punches Karrion Kross, goes back in the ring just to get obliterated and to lose the match. Yes, AJ Styles was pinned by Logan Paul at WrestleMania. Now, again, I don't think it's 100% intentional, but the TNA Championship got buried in a match before, and AJ Styles lost to Logan Paul all within a course of about 20 minutes. Now, as far as AJ losing to Paul, I don't think it's a big deal. AJ, remember, he's older. He's part of the generation that we're seeing retiring right now. John Cena's on his retirement. AJ's from the same generation. John Cena's retiring this year. Hiroshi Tanahashi's over New Japan, same generation, retiring this year, big star. Bryan Danielson retired last year. We've got CM Punk, he's from that generation. He's only got a couple more years left. Aleister Black even said to Adam Cole over at AEW that they're a dying breed, that generation, and they are. Those guys are getting older. They're not in their 20s anymore. They're either approaching or in their 40s. Kenny Omega you can throw in there as well. So it is kind of weird seeing these guys in the near the end of their prime, but that's where AJ Styles is. I don't think it's a big loss. Plus, I don't think this is the end of all of this, and I think AJ will have his day in the sun either against Logan Paul or some other way before all is said and done. The World Women's Tag Team Championship, Becky Lynch was the big surprise. Not much of a surprise because most people predicted this. Teamed up with Lyra Valkyria, always have a hard time with that name, took on Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, the champions. This is a pretty standard match. You knew it was going to happen as soon as you saw Becky Lynch come out. So I hate to admit that, I actually fast forwarded to the end. So I can't review it. But I fast forwarded to see Becky Lynch pinning Liv Morgan and said that, thank you I saved myself some time. I didn't need to watch that match. So I can't recommend or unrecommend it. It may have been a banger. I don't know. I fast forwarded past it. In the main event, the undisputed WWE Championship, why we are all here, Cody Rhodes, who did not sell his soul, defends that championship against John Cena following the biggest heel turn angle since Hogan joined the NWO. This generation's version of that. How is WWE going to approach that? Cool entrances too. John Cena coming out with just his name in plain white text on a black background. No fanfare. He comes to the ring. He doesn't even want his ring intro. He's like dismissive of the whole thing because John Cena's angle is now that after 25 years of all of us cooking him for his not lack of wrestling ability. John Cena's had some good matches, but he's not the most compelling and talented in-ring performer, but he is he made up for that with the charisma and his promo skills. Taking on Cody Rhodes, his apparent obvious final replacement in WWE. Cody gets a whole thing with the bikes and all this other stuff. The match was terrible. Intentionally so. Cena did this on purpose. He wrestled the boring style because of he can't wrestle stuff. This is all the match was intentionally bad. It was intentionally bad. Plus the fact Cena hasn't wrestled a full match like this in a long time, so I wasn't expecting, Konosuke Takeshita and Will Ospreay in this thing, but I was hoping for a little bit better. And if they were going to do this, I was like, well, just speed it up. Let's get to the end game. The end game finish that we know that everybody and their grandmother is going to come run into the ring like they did last year. That did not happen. The referee goes down, of course, and all we got was Travis freaking Scott with his bootleg belt, hardcore belt, And it took him 9 years to get to the ring because he doesn't understand timing, that we're in the middle of the main event match. You can't saunter to the ring for 5 minutes. Whatever. Somebody should have told him that, but whatever. Cena tries to cheat. I appreciated Cena doing heel work in here in this match. It was pretty cool to see that. But again, as far as entertainment is concerned, as far as enjoying this match in any way, shape, or form, I was just waiting for this part. Let's get to the run-ins. And this is what we got. So that was disappointing. At the end, Cody was conflicted. After all this, Cody's conflicted on hitting John Cena with the championship belt. John Cena was nowhere near conflicted in kicking Cody in the balls. I have a feeling that if this is rerun at SummerSlam or something, that Cody's going to finally kick Cena in the balls as a receipt, because this is the second time that's happened in this rivalry. But on this night, John Cena used that to win his 17th kayfabe World Championship, which kayfabe surpasses Ric Flair. Not really, because Flair's really got 21 title reigns, but whatever, we won't get into that. But kayfabe, as far as the WWE Universe is concerned, just as true as it was that there were 93,000 people at WrestleMania 3, just as true as it was that Andre the Giant was 15 years undefeated at WrestleMania 3, keeping with that tradition of WrestleMania half-truths and lies, and there's more on to come, we'll get to that in a second. John Cena has beaten Ric Flair's record and is now the greatest of all time, despite the fact he was the face of the company during the longest down period between the two of the hottest periods in WWE history. Never mind that. He is the GOAT now, according to them, and that's how WrestleMania went off the air. Now, some other notes from WrestleMania weekend. We've already covered the AAA thing in another video, and Stone Cold Steve Austin got on his little doom buggy, came down to the ring. Apparently, he'd already been drinking. He ran into the barricade and apparently knocked over a woman. Nick Khan went over to check on her while Steve Austin gets in the ring, drinks a bunch of beer, and gives his BS number for attendance, where they are trying to count the fact that there were, well, not the fact, saying that there were over 120,000 fans at this show, when we all know, again, these lies, that it's not the truth. I am begging any company, and I'm including AEW with their first all-in numbers. I am begging any company, wrestling companies, stop fudging your numbers. You don't need to. We don't care. It's not more impressive. We all know it's bullshit. Why bother with it? We can see that dude who's in the front row of every single WWE show was there on both nights. You can't count him twice. But that wasn't even the bad part. The woman was apparently hurt. Nick Khan trying to make sure they don't get sued. Steve Austin goes out there, checks on her for a second, and then goes back up the ramp. So that was a thing that happened. They did a cool thing. This is one of the interesting things. WWE, you can never ever take away from the production. And every time, this is just a personal thing with me. I've never mentioned this online, but when I think about wrestling, sometimes I'm like, how can wrestling be cooler? 8K cameras. WWE does it. Well, it'd be cool if they had fans by the LED. WWE does it. Another cool idea that I was thinking about was there should be like vertical LED screens on the entrance ramp, and here we are at WrestleMania 41, and they one up my idea. I said you should probably have them alongside the ramp. They had them suspended from the ceiling and then would bring them down for certain wrestlers. Looked amazing. I think that was cool, just because, and I may be marking out over that more than most people, probably just because it was an idea that I had personally, and then WWE did it, and I was like, oh, that's cool. They did the thing I was thinking about. So always props to them for the production work. WWE will never be surpassed for production, because that's what they're about, and they always invest in it. However, the cost of that is that we are inundated with ads, and the WWE universe is basically there for WWE to make money off of companies pumping their advertisements to a captive audience. It's sports entertainment. That's what this company is about. And saying that, as much as that feels like sucking on a greasy coin for me, again, it's WWE. This is what they do. This is how they make all the money that they make and do all of this stuff. Has nothing to do with wrestling. Has everything to do with that kind of stuff. But overall, WrestleMania 41, after 38, 39, and 40 were all really good, this one was a letdown. It felt like a step backwards. finisher spamming, which Cody and John Cena did, by the way, in their main event match. Both main event matches had excessive amounts of finisher spamming, which feels like late 2000s WWE. Booking things that, a little bit shaky, a little bit off, burying other companies, I thought we were past this stuff. I was hopeful that Triple H would get past this stuff, but it seems like the more things change, the more they stay the same. And 3 years in, we might be seeing the first crack in the new hot streak of WWE, but that may be premature. It's only one event. Maybe they'll pick it up with the Raw after Mania, but I want to know what you guys think. Let your voice be heard in the comment box below. Until next time, I'll see you guys here for more news, rumors, and reviews on the Rant and Review Pro Wrestling. Have a good day.